Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Bob Mendelsohn, and this is the Bob's Your Uncle podcast. That's some beautiful music from J.S. Bach, his Air. Air, that's what it's called, on a G string. And we'll have that as our regular music. This is the beginning of season 8 of the Bob's Your Uncle podcast. And today we're going to begin an interview with Rob Pryor, who is a cancer survivor, and he's going to tell you how you can overcome as well. This is season 8, episode 1. Stay tuned.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
On this date in history, the 5th of January in 1781, a British naval expedition led by Benedict Arnold burned Richmond, Virginia. In 1896, German physicist Wilhelm Röntgen discovered a new type of radiation later known as X-rays. In 1933, construction officially began on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And on this date, the 5th of January in 1957, U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower proposed military and economic assistance to MIdEast nations, resisting communist aggression, a policy known as the Eisenhower Doctrine. And that's today's date in history.
I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
Rob Pryor, welcome to the Bob's Your Uncle podcast. Thanks for joining us. You
It's a
live
pleasure
here
to
in
be here,
Sydney.
Bob.
Yeah. You and I both live here in Sydney, and you're a mathematics tutor. I taught high school mathematics years ago. Tell me, what's your favorite part of education and maths education in particular?
Well, I do love mathematics, and it was a strength at high school and university and beyond. But to answer your question, to me, the greatest thrill is to build a student's self-esteem. They often start with me thinking that they're not very good at maths, that everyone else is better than them, and it's just beyond their reach. And I figured that 50% of my job is to convince them that they can do it. They are smart, they are capable. And then the other part, 50%, is to impart the knowledge and develop the skills.
Rob, what is it here in Sydney that makes you glad to keep living here when prices are so high and human rewards seem at a standstill?
I love living in Sydney. Well, the weather's great. Today is sunny with a bit of a breeze, but for the most part, Sydney weather is wonderful. And I live in the eastern suburbs where it's right in the hub of activity. Where do I start to answer your question? I'm a music fanatic and I go to a lot of shows. I'm going to a show at the Manning Bar, University of Sydney tonight, of a German, would you believe, a German female drummer. You don't get that sort of opportunity in rural areas. So I wouldn't enjoy living in a rural area. How blessed am I to live in this type of environment?
Well said. Hey, look, I'd be remiss if we don't quickly get to the topic of cancer and the angle for which you're probably more well known than even prior education. That angle is, of course, overcoming cancer. Take me back, if you will, 13, 14 years ago, won't you? What's the word on you?
where I was diagnosed with late stage 3 kidney cancer, a 6.5 centimetre tumour, but also a very badly damaged liver, which I must say was clearly the result of my own excessive alcohol consumption at that time. I might add, these days I consume close to zero alcohol, 1 or 2 drinks once in a blue moon. And when was the last time you saw a blue moon? So, yeah, I was dreadfully ill. Well, I had nausea, anxiety, fatigue, which in themselves is pretty debilitating, but then rashes and lumps and bumps and stabbing pains 24/7 in my lower right abdomen. I was very, very ill. I think the specialist recommended surgery, the oncologist recommended surgery ASAP.
But you were reluctant, weren't you?
Many people, I think, would feel intimidated by that, of thinking, I've got this life-threatening illness and I'm feeling dreadfully, dreadfully ill. Who am I to question an expert with a lifetime of experience as a surgeon? And he's got qualifications from prestigious universities in Australia, United States, United Kingdom. But for some reason, that doesn't mean much to me. Obviously, I respect someone who's educated, but my gut feeling was I was being coerced into something for his financial benefit. Now, you might think that's a harsh statement. My intuition was leading me to think that I suspected in a deeper part of my psyche that I had created this disease myself. Now, that is, in itself is worthy of discussion, because there's a prevalent belief in society, and doctors will often convey it, that cancer could happen to anyone at any time for no reason. And they say, we don't really know the cause of cancer. We need to do more research. We need more funding. I happen to not believe that. I happen to believe we do know the cause of cancer. And I later figured out and heard and believed that it's the result of, well, modern industrialized lifestyle. So physical and emotional toxins. So by physical, poor diet, eating foods that have been sprayed with pesticides are, I believe, highly carcinogenic. I did switch to organic a little later. Pharmaceuticals, processed foods, which have got all sorts of chemicals in them, which people think they can't be that harmful, but I strongly disagree with that. I think they're very harmful, not taken as a one-off, but if you do consume that regularly, I believe these toxins are building up, accumulating in your body, and eventually wreaking havoc, which is what I was experiencing. But then the other side of the coin I was referring to is emotional toxins, which I believe can be more of a contributing factor to the onset of cancer.
Is that private? Is that personal? Is that interpersonal emotion?
All of the above. So if you're holding resentment towards a person, that you feel they wronged you sometime in the past. But, what are emotional toxins? Well, they can be grief from the death of a loved one. It can be stress from financial hardship, where you're struggling financially to survive, or your business has gone broke, or you've lost your job. What else? Breakup of a relationship. You can feel unloved and unworthy and abandoned, all these sorts of things.
Take me back to that moment when he told you the diagnosis. How'd that make you feel? What'd you do? What was your immediate action?
Went down the elevator at the Prince of Wales Hospital, Randwick, Sydney, into the car park, which is down below there, broke down crying. I was so upset because now I'd had a definitive diagnosis that he said it is definitely renal carcinoma, which is kidney cancer, and he recommended this surgery. So the first person that I called when I pulled myself back together again was a fellow called MIdEast, who is obviously of Greek origin, but Australian-born, and a brilliant psychotherapist who had helped me with emotional issues back in the 90s. Now, you or many people might say, why are you calling a psychotherapist when you've got cancer? What's that got to do with the price of fish? And the answer is, well, probably at that time, I felt he's one of the most wise people I'd ever met in my life. He's about 10 years older than me. And he had helped me to overcome psychosomatic, not illness, but ailments in the 90s. And so I said to him, do you think cancer might have a psychological connection? He said, 100%, my friend. Will always have, he said, it'll be a combination of physical and emotional. He said, and for most people, the emotional will be the prime trigger of the onset of the cancer.
Now, he recommended you go see another fellow who's an integrative doctor. Is that right?
In Annandale, in the same building where I do my psychotherapy, Dr. Chris, he said he's got an incredible track record for helping people recover from cancer. I said, slow down, recover, but there is no cure for cancer. He said, no, I strongly disagree. There's over 100 cures for cancer. They've been known for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They've just been suppressed, Rob. And he said, J.D. Rockefeller was the guy who suppressed a lot of this in the early 1900s in America. So, wow, this
that
is
was all. That would be a financial consideration. The doctors who make their living off that, the pharmaceuticals who make their living off that.
Yep.
So here's a man who's thinking outside the box, who has helped you 30 years ago, well, 20 years ago at that point, and you're listening to him thinking, this guy's got my number. He is.
Yes. I can put my hand on my heart. I feel my whole recovery journey was guided by divine spirit.
Yeah.
And I know you're a man with deep spiritual beliefs and experiences. I don't share precisely the same spiritual domain as you, but I really feel that I was being guided by angels or spirit. I don't even know what to call it. God. I was being guided every step of the way. I ended up writing a book to tell my story and to help others to learn the secrets of what helped me to make a complete recovery within the space of 13 months. By the way, there's that figure of 13 yet again. 2013 diagnosis, 13 months for recovery. And so I ended up writing this book.
What's it called, just for everybody to hear your voice?
Yeah, it's The Healing Power of Cancer.
Yeah, and I'm going to put that on I'm going to use it as a blog post as well as the podcast to point people to that book and to your story. You share in your website about the book and the 5-week course that you run, that you were cured through detoxification and by changes in your diet, of course, and your lifestyle. And I love this, and your mindset. So it really is inside out, not outside in.
Well, it's actually draws upon what is called terrain theory rather than germ theory. I don't know how much you know about this, but
I'm learning.
In the mid-1800s, there were two notable French microbiologists who were looking for what they believed could be the fundamental underlying cause of all disease, not just cancer, but of all disease, which is a pretty lofty ambition. It's pretty amazing that they should even embark upon such a thing because it seems unfathomable. But those two people were Louis Pasteur and a scientist called Antoine Béchamp.
If that's not enough of a tease for you, I don't know what you're thinking about this whole process. But that'll be the tease. That'll be next week's conversation. We'll have part 2 of 2 with Rob Pryor and let him unpack this history lesson that really has an impact on who he is and what he's hoping for all of us. I think we can all take heart from the kindness of God to help him and take heart for ourselves that the same God might want to help us in 2026. What do you reckon? Hey, let me let you know about the website called therealbobm.com. That's my new website, and you can go to it anytime and get the latest Instagram or Facebook, my blog. Everything is all on there. There won't be anything that I write about, communicate about, that you can't find there. It's all searchable. Things about Israel, things about Jewish people, my reflections after the Bondi massacre, on and on. So even Flickr, even all my photos, historical photos, you'll find it all there, therealbobm.com. And feel free to comment on any of those platforms or right here where you're listening to the podcast. There's so much to ponder, so many avenues to communicate in. I just want to be available to you and let you be available to me. So let me know what you're thinking. Would you do that? Thanks. What do you think about all this? Why don't you write to me, Bob Mendo at AOL.com, or comment right where you're listening to the podcast. Every week we read from the #1 bestseller of all time. That's the Bible. Today's no different. Today's reading is from Acts chapter 10. You know of Yeshua of Nazareth, how God anointed him with the Holy Spirit and with power, and how he went about doing good, in healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. Thanks for joining us today. Look wherever you are, whether you're out for your evening constitutional, you're at home, you're at the gymnasium with your headphones, wherever you are. Thanks for joining us these 18 minutes. And look, when things seem bleak or uncertain, look up to God. He's in his heaven, and Bob's your uncle. Shalom from Sydney.